It all started with my son, with Trey. So I used to work him out at this little local gym. So I'm working him out, I'm training him. Next thing you know, like I had a couple other parents like, can you work out my son? Can you work out my son? At first, I didn't have the time. So as he probably around 2016, I had more time on my hands. So I was like, you know what? I don't mind. Let me help out some other kids. I had no aspiration on having my own academy at that time.
Mhm.
So I started training other kids. Next thing you know, I had like 10 or 12 kids I'm training. I'm like, oh, okay, I might have something here. And then the numbers grew as far as my training and stuff. So then the parents start asking, hey, you ever thought about forming any teams or anything like that? I would love to get my son to play some games.
Mhm.
So we had our first tryout, me and Johnny Jordan. He helped me out a lot.
Mhm.
He's assistant coach at Chaminade.
Yeah.
And he was like, yeah, I help you. Let's do a tryout. Had my tryout. We had about 40 kids at our first tryout. Next thing you know, we formed two teams out of those 40 kids. And then next thing you know, right now we have like 42 teams, 400 kids in the organization, man. It's truly a blessing. But I had no idea this was going to be the way it is. It was
Mhm.
just, I just put together a vision, had a goal and went for it, man. So it's been a blessing for sure.
So talk about let's talk about where it all started for you. When did you come in contact with you first knowing like, man, basketball, man, it's a sport I love and I want to keep doing this. Like, so let's talk about you growing up. So where did you grow up and when did you get the aspirations of first of all the love of the game, and then we can talk about, your high school years, middle school years, and what got you to the point um
Yeah.
right now. So
So yeah, I went to Ferguson Middle School, and I like basketball, but I didn't really love it in middle school. Then when
mhm,
I got to high school, working with Coach Jacobs, who's now at Francis Howe with the Vikings now. But then my freshman year, I started finding a love for the game and playing with Mike Nelke and John Freeman and Keith Quinn, all my teammates. I started like working on my game a little bit more then once I got to high school. And then next thing you know, my freshman year, I was okay basketball player.
mhm,
Then my sophomore year, one of our starters got hurt in a Fontbine tournament. I ended up stepping up, and I started doing really good after that, and started taking basketball more serious. Started working on my game outside of practices and things like that.
right,
Then my junior and senior, I had the best seasons I ever had as far as high school, and
right.
then so that's kind of how it all started. And then yeah, I found
So,
love for
so,
the game.
so let's talk about even before then. Like, did you play on any like youth teams growing up before you even went into high school? Because like right now, it's kind of like you have to prepare yourself to go to the right high school when you in
Yeah.
middle school. So, did you have any thought of, man, let me pick the right high school, or did that even come across your mind when you were in middle school transitioning to high school?
Yeah, to be honest, I didn't even I lived in Ferguson, Florissant. My mom lived in Ferguson, Florissant, and then we moved to Jennings. So I had no idea. I was gonna leave McClure and go to Jennings. But before that, in middle school, I didn't know where I was gonna go to high school. I was
Mhm.
just gonna go where, just go to Ferguson Middle, then go to McClure and just keep it like that. So, um, but like now it's totally different.
Right.
Kids in fifth and sixth grade already thinking about what high school they're gonna go to.
Mhm.
So, like basketball has evolved, of course, especially here in St. Louis. So, but at that time, I was just playing on a YMCA team with my dad. Growing up like second and third grade, and then fourth and fifth grade, I started playing for St. John and James
Mhm.
with Mike Nelke and Andre Owens and people like that. And then it kind of just went from there. But it was no like I never traveled at
Right.
that age, in middle school or elementary, like kids are now traveling playing AAU basketball.
Mhm. So did you have any idea what the high school scene was like, or it was just like, man, once I got there and I arrived, and you look at the older guys, but did you even like pay attention to like the high school scene? Because like I'm gonna be honest, like when I was in like seventh or eighth grade, I really didn't know how big it was. But then
Yeah,
once I got into like eighth grade, you started getting people that used to come get me and kind of take me around to like the Normandy Christmas tournaments or
right. Yeah.
whatever the big games were at that time. So did you even know that high school was like a big thing in St. Louis for
I
basketball?
did because my dad used to take me. You remember the Coca-Cola shootout?
Oh yeah, come on. We gonna get to that because
Oh
man,
yeah,
we gonna talk about so
yeah.
all
So
right,
my dad
so
used to take me
shootout.
up. Yeah, yeah. My dad used to take me to the Normandy Christmas tournament, to the Fine Bond tournament. So my dad, so about eighth grade too, I was like, Dad. And then I used to always follow Greg Fields, who played in McClure, and I used to always follow him and Anthony Freeman's and Larry Hughes and Justin Tatum. So I would always go watch them play. as well. But yeah, about 8th grade, I really started, noticing other basketball players that played at a high level. I was like, dang, it started, click for me then when I started watching them play.
So was it a particular game, or it was just kind of like you saw the shootout? So who was like the marquee event at that shootout that time that you went? Who was like the game or the people that were like highly touted or everybody was talking about?
I remember one year Kevin Garnett came.
Mm-hmm.
Kevin Garnett came, and me and my dad, I went and I watched him. I was like, man, that's crazy. Just to be that tall and be able to handle the ball like that, I was like, man, it was amazing. I never forget.
Man, because not only that, Kevin Garnett even had like Ronnie Fields, who at the
Yeah,
time was like a Kobe type player that everybody said, well, if Garnett can go out of high school, just wait until this guy Ronnie Fields get his chance to go. And that team out of Chicago was like
man,
huge. You know what I'm saying?
Because he had, if I'm not mistaken, he had left a particular school and then went to Chicago, right? Kevin Garnett,
like South Carolina or somewhere.
South Carolina, something like that. And then when he came to the Chicago team came to the Coca-Cola shootout. But yeah.
Man, so let's talk about just those summers. So like you starting to see again, you starting to see parents and you starting to see kids now constantly working on that game all year round. Did you have like a trainer or a coach when you were coming up that just kind of just said, look, Terry, this is what you need to do in order to get better? Or was it just kind of like, let me just play, and then wherever my game take me from there, I can kind of get better. So did you have a particular coach, or was it somebody that kind of put the battery in your back to say, this is what you need to do to get better? Or how did that work out, whether it's middle school or high school?
Yeah, so I didn't have a particular coach or trainer. I owe a lot of my success to my dad early on because he coached me all the way up into high school. So all like elementary and middle school, he got a membership at the YMCA. He just rebound for me, working on my shooting form, a lot with the fundamental part of the game. And so I owe him a lot of the credit because he was always there with me, picking me up, taking me to the gym. So I pretty much give him all the credit for sure.
Mm-hmm. And so you make the transition, like I said, in the summertime. And then let's talk about how Coach Jacob kind of transformed your game or even just put more inspiration into you as far as, because I remember just McClure, because me coming up, I didn't really know nothing about as far as McClure until I started seeing the numbers you were putting up. And then, like you said, your teammates, Mike Nelke, and then seeing that transformation of that school being like a basically unknown to like one of the top area teams. So let's talk about those high school years when the team started to transform into one of the top area teams.
Yeah, my junior year, my freshman sophomore year was pretty good, but my junior and senior year was probably our best years at McClure that I could think of. But like just playing along Mike Nelke and his work ethic and just having him beside me and like all my other teammates, but Coach Jacobs was so instrumental in my success. Like he didn't let me get away with anything. Like I was kind of lazy back then. So like if I was cheating the drills or if I was not giving 100%, he would call me out on it. And I needed that as a 14, 15-year-old, being pushed to the next level. That's kind of what I want to do with I'm doing with the kids that I have now, part of the organization. But he pushed me. He helped me like just realize, like get to my spot. Don't try to do too much, play within the rims of the game, and just help me evolve as a basketball player on and off the court. Like just making sure my academics are straight. He was a coach that talked with our teachers to make sure we're handling our business in the classroom, which that really helped me to make sure I'm doing my part as far as academically. And then I have opportunity to play the game because without the core school, these kids can't play any sports. You know what I mean? You got to have those grades. So that was real key.
So important.
Yeah.
And then just even just that, as far as just like not allowing you to cut corners, because what I see a lot of times, even just at the high school level, where we may get a kid that has all the talent in the world, where somebody has allowed them to just cut corners, and it's like you can get a lot, you can see them, and you can make what you may think is success now, but in the end, it's hurting yourself and you hurting the kid because you allowing him to cut corners, and at any part of some adversity hit, then they may unravel, So can you talk about that? Did you ever have any type of adversity that you can say like, man, I strive through this adversity and it made me a better player just in your high school years?
Yeah. I had a couple things where I went through a shooting slump my junior year early on. We played Jennings against Darren Brooks, and they had beat us early on, like in the I can't remember what tournament, but I was just in a bad shooting slump. and I was getting real frustrated. So I started to force shots. I started to force things because I was so focused on like getting my numbers up.
Right,
Selfish.
right, right.
You know,
Yeah.
man, I got to get my numbers. I'm trying to go to college. I'm trying to get a D1 scholarship. Just
Right.
being honest, that's all I was really focused on. But Coach Jacobs like pulled me aside and like helped me understand it's a team game. Because if I'm playing within the offense, those shots gonna come, and they're gonna come in a better position versus me trying to get a rebound, dribble up the floor just to shoot a three or shoot a jump shot, work the offense, and then I can get an easier shot, a more high efficient shot. So it's like it really helped me on early on my junior year, and then I end up averaging like 18, 20 points my my junior year.
Man, you said something that's like, man, that's so important when you just basically just mentioned the fact of you know, when we play for something, you know, and
Yeah,
whatever it may have been, and like you said, you was thinking of being selfish, but at the same time, that passion is like, I'm trying to do this for
right,
something.
right,
And a
right.
lot of times you get kids that, you know, that may play because, you know, they may be the tallest or they may be the fastest or their parents want to put them in this. But
Right.
you knew during that time, your junior year, like, man, I need to put numbers up because I'm playing for something. So let's talk to that. Like, is that where the passion came from, knowing that, look, I got to try to get this to make this a stepping stone to help me at the next realm of my life or the next stage of my life as far as getting a scholarship?
Yeah, I definitely wanted a full scholarship. That was always in my plans because my mom and my dad always been inspirational in my life. Like my mom worked 2 jobs, my dad worked 14 hours. So I didn't want them to have to figure out how they was going to pay for my college education. I
Right.
knew I wanted to go to college. I knew I wanted a college degree. And I was like, man, I'm gonna work harder. My dad bought me some strength shoes. Remember those strength shoes?
Man, talk
So
about it, man.
I was like,
I'm
man,
a
I gotta
look
work on
when
my
when I pull them out today, they looking at me like, man, coach, what is this, man? I'm like, dude, man, you ain't been through nothing unless you ran around the park with
man.
them on.
Hey, right, right. So my dad had bought me those. So I go on my own, go to McClure track, get on the strength shoes, just that work ethic. Like I don't know if I had the work ethic my freshman year, but my sophomore, junior, senior year, it started to get real. I'm like, hold on, the time is ticking. Like I really want to get a free education and play at Division I school. And I mean, even not the just because you were on here, but like I remember when we had played with the Eagles coming up in a tournament at Matthew Dickey. I never forget. I didn't know who you were at the time. And you had started that game, that tournament. And I was like, man, who is this cat with all the tattoos all on his forearm already in high school? Because I was like, man, because me and Gerald Weatherspoon, we was like,
Uh-huh.
shit, we was gonna get tattoos on our forearms and stuff like that. I was like, man, so like just watching other high school athletes that could play at a high level, like you,
Right.
Darren Brooks, Mike Nelke's. List goes on. That kind of motivated me. I was like, man, I got to step up my game. I want to be better than them. When I
Right.
play them, I want to put more numbers to them. So like, I think that added a little fuel for me as
Right.
a basketball player.
Yeah, no, I mean, and that's important because it's like I always tell folks to find the model, you know, as far as like, you know, and even just in life, you know, you may like have a role model to inspire to at least be like, and you can put your own remix on it however which way you want. But even just like
Yeah.
growing up, I idolized the Penny Hardaways, the Grant Hills,
All right.
the Jordans, like all of these people. But not only that, I started, you know, doing the same thing that you was doing, seeing, okay, who is the next person? I don't know if you remember Streets and Smith. It used to always be a magazine that came out every summer,
Uh-huh. I
and
know
they
you're
had
talking
all of the rankings on there. And so
about.
every year, and I didn't really start getting into it really until like my freshman year. But
Okay.
when the rankings come out, I would always look, okay, who at the top in this top position, and then what do I have to do stat wise to get myself to that level right there. Oh, this person averaging 17 and 10. Man, I
Yeah.
got to average me 17 and 10 in order to be considered in the conversations of the top players in the
Right.
country, you know. So that was some of the things that drove me. But I would go around just like you, seeing people in our area. Okay, what is he doing? What is that person doing? And then
Mm-hmm.
trying to put my own little remix on it because
Yeah.
I mean, it was no hate for me. I have always been like a connoisseur of the game, and I always would, you know, the Chris Kerwells, the Larry Hughes, and even to this day, these people are considered like larger than life because I was a fan at a young age to see these guys. And I tell my kids even to this day, you may have a kid right now that comes to a game and it may be their first experience of, you know, we don't have a basketball team here in St. Louis. So again, high school sports, college sports, those are like our pro sports. So you want to make sure that when a kid sees you and, and you become their model, be a good light for them, leave a lasting impression. And so I always would echo that to all of my teams. It's like, you never know when that little boy that's 7 or 8 right now is going to see you. And the first thing they're going to think in their head is, man, that player from St. Mary's, man, when I saw them play, man, he took the time to take a picture or sign an autograph because he was going to be tough like that. And so that makes you want to get better to even try to be like them. So that's huge. But it's just, I don't know if it's something about our era that did that. Now, do you see that now with the kids that you train and the kids in your academy? Do they look to the area players as like people that are larger than life to someone to try to strive to be like?
No, they definitely do, especially within the 3D organization. They really look up to Jason Tatum. Mm-hmm. And, I've been fortunate to play and know Justin Tatum for, since I was younger. We played, at the Bonner League together, and Jason was probably 6th grade at that time. And I remember like during halftime, he'd be working on his game and just really trying to get better. Then once he got to the NBA, he just still humble. Like he'd come in the gym, there's 40 kids, but he'll make sure he take a picture and talk to each kid before he leave.
Right.
I'm like, this man is busier than anybody else, but he's still
the face of the league and has the time to do that.
Had to do that, man. Like I see him, I help Justin with his camp at CBC. Those kids just starstruck and see him, and he'll talk to each one of them, take a picture, and then leave. Like it just, so kids look up to him and Brad Bills, and
right.
We got the Tyler Cooks. The list go on. But even not only in the NBA, I know like a lot of kids at 3D, like Rob Martin from CBC.
Right.
He trained up here at this spring and summer, right?
Mm-hmm.
And just watching him train and how hard he's going, and people see the results, but they don't. A lot of people don't see that hard work he put in to be at a top level basketball player like that. So one day I had my son. I said, we're not going to train today. I want you to watch Rob and how fast he goes through his drill, how in control he is, how much work he putting in. And after the training, he was like, okay, Dad, I see. I gotta go a little bit harder. I gotta get better. So it was like eye opening for these kids, and it's like motivation at the same time.
Nah, ultimately that's what, we should always strive. Again, like I said, find a model, find somebody that you can just straight say, man, I can see myself within the next 4 or 5 years to try to be like him. And then again, having that vision and having somebody say like, look, that can be you, that there is no reason why that can't be you. Cause that person probably walked the same walk you did. And, he's working hard right now because he has a vision, and it's kind of like, he may have some OGs or some older people around him, parents, telling them like, look, do this because this is going to be the outcome if you continue to work hard. So I think it's kind of like us raising a village, even with just like within the state of basketball here in St. Louis, that you never know who we are come in contact with. And I just want to just make it like known that, guys, y'all don't know how small this basketball circle is. So when you out playing somewhere, go as hard as you can, because you never know who's standing back watching. It may be, folks may be watching for a scholarship, but you got to realize it's kids that may be watching that you may be inspiring them. You know what I'm saying? Like you said, you never know when at halftime a kid is just shooting around, and that could be, that could be you at these games, making sure that, man, I want to make sure that when I'm playing hard, that kids see this to try to strive and at least get to this level,
And the same thing with Yuri at St. Mary's. Like he came up here just working out so hard and like just giving the game everything he can give, to reach to get a full scholarship at a school like St. Louis U. What I mean? Like that. Like I don't take none of that for lightly, man. Like it's a huge deal, like for St. Louis, and watching the Caleb Loves and the Courtney Ramies and everybody else, man. It's like I was talking to a guy, he coaches in Oklahoma. And he was like, man, St. Louis is really on the map, man. Y'all got some ballers out of St. Louis. Like, I don't know when our era, I know we had some hoopers. I don't know if it was on the map globally. But I think like, right now where St. Louis basketball is, from like talking to other people that don't live here, man, like they really we got some really good talent. Like St. Louis is in good hands.
Yeah. Sure. No, I just think even just like when we play certain teams in other areas, we able to make sure that we leave to put our stamp on certain things, because to be honest, like a lot of folks don't like playing St. Louis area teams as far as like, man, they going to be scrappy. They going to get up in you. They play hard. And, you know, I think too, that we up there with the Chicagos and it's just the fact of it, by it being so small in St. Louis, we don't get the pub as like the Chicagos and the New Yorks and the DCs or the Virginias of people like saying, man, y'all got hoopers. But, you know, a lot of times, and even just a couple conversations that I done had with a lot of folks on here, it's just saying, like, we've always had pro level type guys here, even going back to the 70s and the 80s. So much probably happened along that path to where, you know, they didn't get a break or didn't get the attention, and they didn't last or didn't make it. But it's always been that type of talent here, you know?
Yeah, I agree 100%.
So let's just pick up. So let's make the transition. So your senior year come around, you finally get a chance to go to the shootout. So we talked about like your pops taking you to the shootout. And was that ever a goal for you to play down there on that stage like that? Because it was a goal of mine. I didn't know if it was a goal. Was it a goal of yours?
And me and Nelky, I never forget when Coach Jacobs told us we was going to play there. Man, I couldn't believe it. I was like, but that only happened because we was doing so well my sophomore and junior year. So then my senior year, we was able to play there, and we had the whole school come out, brought the buses out, man. I'll never forget that moment, man. Like I was so nervous before that game, man. Look, I didn't have my best game, but man, it was just that. It's just something I would never forget, though. You know, it was memorable for sure.
Yeah, because that's one of the things, like, it was on my bucket list. And I'm just like you. I couldn't believe it. Like, wow, are you serious? We get a chance to play down there?
Man.
So who did y'all play? Who was the team that y'all played?
Belleville East, man, with Stinson Harrison.
Oh, so y'all played Stetson? Okay, I didn't even know that.
Yeah, we played them. He had a good game, too. We lost by like 5, and I had about 9 points. And I was averaging like 18 at that time. And I was looking at remember the North County Journal had all the stats in there.
Because what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna pull up. I got some stuff. I'm gonna let you see, man. Because I'm gonna put it up when I roll this out. Just as far as like, you know, I think it was the North County Journals we used to get, and then it was man, we had a lot of different papers back then.
We did. Like the Post-Dispatch had some stuff sometimes. It was another one too, a little paper that used to come out, but man, it was just cool, man. I used to watch, you know, look out, see where you at, see where Dern at, see where everybody at, man. I was trying to catch y'all, man.
Man, so you ended up having a great year at McClure, and then what went into your thought process of making that transition to the next stage of your life as far as going off to school? Did you have a plan in mind? I know we all wanted to continue to play basketball, but was it ever in your mind to, like, one day I want to be an entrepreneur, I want to start my own academy? Like, when did you start getting that business mindset going? Did it develop during high school, or when did you get that?
I didn't get that honestly to after college. Mm-hmm. And I was probably say about maybe 10 years ago. I was working for a company, and then I just started getting I started looking at YouTube videos of Eric Thomas, the hip hop preacher.
Oh, yeah. Eric Thomas, motivational speaker.
Yeah, motivational speaker, right? So to be honest, like about 8 years ago, I was just watching these things before I go to work, and man, motivate me like just to work for myself, work for my last name. And, you know, I started having kids, and then I got my wife. And then I was like, man, I want to do my own thing. Like, I want to start my own business. But it wasn't about basketball at that time. I was just wanting my own business and be an entrepreneur. Mm-hmm. So that's when we started our company, Edwards Enterprise, and we started flipping houses. We saved up some money, started flipping houses. That started doing good, but I'm working for myself. So I'm not working 11-hour shifts like I was doing working for the company. So I'm like, now I got time to, you know, work on my son, work on his basketball skills. And next thing you know, other kids, like I said earlier, was coming on and wanted me to work with them. And then 3D just blew up. But I was just only focused on the real estate because real estate is doing good. It's a good market and good revenue for my family. But yeah, I say about 10 years ago, I was like, man, I want to be an entrepreneur and work for myself.
Right. And so we had a connection as far as the school. So can you talk about the time you spent down at Mineral?
Oh, yeah.
And what did you learn from that situation? And did that help you out moving forward? Or like what was your mindset of once you left there? Because I feel like, you know, we from the city, it's kind of like, we move so fast with so many rapid things that can go on. And sometimes it takes an experience. And I know it happened for me to be somewhere where I had to actually slow down and appreciate certain things, because ultimately I wasn't where I wanted to be, but I had to basically, I look at it as like take a step in the direction of going through some adversity. And I had to be down there in a town to where I'm like, man, this is not where I'm coming from in St. Louis. So just, can you speak to that a little bit as far as like, how did that impact your life?
Like going through that was kind of tough for me because I always had a vision of playing at a big time Division I school,
Mm-hmm.
and having to go to after I left the previous school to come to Mentor area after. I remember talking to you about it because you had just left there, played there, and you thought it was a good idea for me. And I was talking to Corey Tate, who, man, is still a leader, still a mentor in my life right now.
Right.
Somebody I look up to, him and Jihadi White, like big bros to me, that if I need some help or need some advice, those two people that I would talk to, especially for basketball, right?
Mm-hmm.
So when I was there, I went through a lot of adversity, end up being diagnosed with heel spurs after the first practice, and never could find myself to be as quick as I once was. I wasn't the fastest, but at least was able to have a good first step.
Right.
So going through that, Corey Tate took me to the local doctor, and I was just never the same. But like just going through that adversity, not playing much due to this injury, but still being around some good teammates like Joe Sheldon, Lorenzo Gordon, and Eric Hubbard, and Norm. Just watching them and watching what they put in the game. After that year of mental area is when I think my game just took off. And like Brandon Gilmore, one of my closest friends, and Hazel Central head coach, he was like, after you let there, you turn into a different player. So this is like, you just never know when a kid or a basketball player is going to take their game to the next level. Some earlier, 8th grade, 9th grade, 10th, senior year. Mine honestly wasn't till my sophomore year of college when I was like, Dad, like my game just took off where I was beating a lot of people one-on-one who played at these Division I's, and I was like killing. I was killing in the Bonner League, and I was doing all these things, which was huge, back then. The Bonner League, you killing there, you know what I mean? Like that's another topic for sure. But I was doing good there, and I think going through that it was hard originally, but going through that adversity helped me on and off the court. How to humble me, slow me down. Like, Terry, you ain't as good as you thought. Like you still got a lot more work to do. Like I'm thinking I'm good, I can shoot. Like you can't stop me. But I got there like, hey, hold on, Joe Sheldon cold too, Lorenzo Gordon cold too. Like these cats cold. They just have to go to junior college, and then they end up going to Division I like everybody else. But that was humbling for me for sure.
Yeah, no, and I tell folks all the time that if you want to continue to play this game, you got to put your hours in. That's first and foremost. But you never know when those 10,000 hours are going to actually catch up. So it may be that you didn't really put a whole lot into it your freshman year, your sophomore year. But you get closer and closer to doing it because it's all about repetition. So you go to a school like a Mineral, you being around these other guys that's pushing you every day. So now those those first 1,000 hours when it's hard, but now you got to take it to the next level to where, man, I'm working hard every single day. You constantly being around the game. And so when you come back home and you playing in like a league or something like that, you way more advanced than somebody that may only hoop maybe twice a week, or once a week, but you playing against high quality competition on a daily basis, Monday through or Sunday through Sunday, every single day, your game is going to explode. And so I tell folks that today is like, when you off at these schools, man, continue to work on your game. You can't look at it as just like, when you get there, I've arrived. No, when you get there, that's when it starts, You got to start to continue to keep working more and more after that, because you never know when those 10,000 hours going to actually, kick in,
That's it right there. You couldn't say any better. Like first you said, like the first thing you have to do is put in the work. But then all that work, you don't know when it's going to really pay off.
Yeah.
You don't know when. You got to just keep going. You can't be like, I'm not getting the results right now. I ain't going to practice every day. Like I'm just going to practice one day a week. No, you got to keep on working and keep on working. Like my cousin, Bryce Thompson, who plays at Kansas, he was a McDonald's All-American, but due to COVID, they couldn't play the game. But his dad, Rob, was saying the same thing. Like hard work is undefeated.
Right.
Like you don't know when it's gonna pay off, but you just gotta keep on working, man. So like it helps me with my son because like the things I went through in life in basketball, on and off the court, I'm applying it to my son and all these kids as far inside a 3D basketball organization. You know what I mean?
Right.
So it's really I'm using my experience to help them to understand you got to keep on working, like you just said.
Nah, and you giving it to them like I said, like from a first hand basis, because you know
Right,
a lot of times people, they may coach teams or they may do it for whatever reasons, but you seeing it firsthand, you know how great this game can be, for you,
yeah,
and you can actually, it's straight from the horse's mouth. Like this is not nothing that you read, that you just all of a sudden stumble up on. You went through all of these different stages. You saw the results, like you said, just being an all-star in high school, being on one of the great teams in college, and you seeing all these results. So it hit a little harder when it's coming out your mouth. You know what I'm saying? As
right,
opposed to
right,
it
right,
coming from
right.
somebody who, you know, and kids can pick up on that real easy.
They can, they can.
Coach Edwards, man, he don't know what he talking about, man.
Right, right,
So
right,
this dude ain't.
right.
Man, give him the ball and let's see what he can do. You know what
Right, right. You know, that's true. Like some, not talking about any other coach, but a lot of these kids from youth all the way to high school, if you able to tell a kid what to do and and show it and demonstrate these drills or whatever, they be like, okay, I respect you a little bit more. Okay, now you know what you're talking about. I'm gonna turn my ears up a little bit and listen a little
I'm saying?
closer. But yeah, I agree 100%.
Yeah,
Yeah.
nah. So nah, I mean, and that's so let's kind of talk about just like, even just the transition of, because you wear a lot of hats. Can
Mhm.
you talk about the youth coaching aspect and also the parent aspect of is it a way to balance both? Because it seems like you're doing a great job balancing both, but to the parents and the fathers or even the mothers out there that are going through the coaching their kids and also coaching other kids, but then being the parent. So can you speak about the balance that you have to do both?
I think you gotta have balance and you gotta have stability. So, like coaching at an academy is one thing, but coaching at a competitive elite level is hard as a coach because
Right.
you're dealing with a lot of different adversity. Okay, you got kids that want to be the best. You got parents who want their kids to be the best. No problems with that.
Mhm.
And then you, as a coach, you want to be the best. So you're trying to make it all work. So like I always say, like to have a good elite competitive team, you got to have good kids, a good coach, but you also got to have good parents that's
Right.
willing to, that loyal parents that's willing to buy in and understands a team game's not about one kid scoring 30 and like really teaching them team basketball to reach their fullest potential collectively. You know what I mean? You can like individually they gonna get better through training and stuff like that. But for a team to play kids out on the road and that high competitiveness, you got to have good parents as well, man. You got to have that balance. But I just think like parents, some parents, not all, but I see it not in 3D, but like I think they think like this is a microwave generation.
Yeah,
Like,
no,
like
yeah,
you're gonna you
exactly.
put it out, you're gonna get the results. Like I tell my parents when I'm training, it's like if a kid is training with me 1 day a week and they not putting in no work outside of that training, you can't expect them to get these high level results. You know what
Right.
I mean? They gotta, I'm gonna give, my job is just to give them the confidence. I ain't gonna come out here and train them and they gonna be averaging 30 the next season or whatever. But I want to give them the confidence to use those drills to get better and apply it in the game. You got to have games, you got to have training.
Right.
The training is gonna help you get better in the games. Those games you can be able to determine what you need to do in training. So you need both, but you got to be realistic of what you're trying to do. Like you said earlier, like you got to have goals. You got to have a vision of what these kids want to be in life, and it's my job as a Uber driver to help them get to that destination because that orange pill can take you so many places,
No.
but if you really put in that work.
I sit down with a lot of my parents, and one of the first things that I like to do is I put the definition, the Webster dictionary, or even the Google's definition of what coach is. All right. When you define the word coach, it just basically, and it's different pillars of it, but ultimately what it's just talking about is getting someone from one stage to the next. So
Yeah.
whether if it's in a car, like you said, a Uber driver, I got to get you from point A to point B. And as coaches, we have to do the exact same thing as far as, getting you from this point. When you come in, you 13, 14 years old. And when you leave, you 18, about to make the next transition into life. So it's kind of like, keeping that framework. And it has to be, like you said, it has to be a partnership. And you have to set realistic goals, because it's kind of like what we just got through saying. You probably seeing kids right now in your organization that or putting in work, seeing results at this age, and could probably play on probably my freshman team right now, and they probably in the 6th or the 7th grade, So for me to go and tell a parent like, look, it's kids out here that you really say you want it, they putting in work right now. And as hard as I can't really teach you the game when it's your first year in a program to where teach you how to make a left hand layup or teach you how to make a right hand. I can't, it's not allowed for us to spend that much time with you to develop your game. I can give you this information and we can try this out in a couple more, maybe next year or something. But you have to take ownership in yourself, set realistic goals, work on your game, and be real about yourself. And I think a lot of times some parents don't like to have those real conversations with their kids because, we as parents, we always want to protect our kids and we never want to hurt them. But at some point we have to, make realistic decisions for them, So are those some of the things, the conversations that you have?
Yeah, it's definitely. It was so eye-opening, like just the last couple of days, having the opportunity for my son to work out with Drew Hanlon with Pure Sweat, and as an NBA trainer, looking at how he sees things out of his lens, like as far as how to be quick, how to get lower, how to be detailed. Like Trey had did like a behind, wrap the ball around his back. It's like, nah, you ain't gonna be able to get that off in no game. Slow. You gotta focus on what's gonna help you get better in the game instead of all that cute stuff.
Right.
Like really like focus on fundamentals. He was like real detailed. So to help me as a trainer is like, okay, I need to make sure I'm tightening up. We all learn from each other. Like I'm learning from you, I'm learning from other coaches and trainers, but like watching them, like, okay, I need to tighten this up. Like, how can my training apply to the game for them? How can it be game-like training for them? So like, it was just eye-opening, like you said, just setting realistic goals and helping these kids. Cause like a lot of parents come, he's like, well, little Mike don't have that dog in him. I was like, there's a lot of NBA players don't have that dog in them. And they still made it to the NBA. Ain't nobody gonna look at Steph Curry's like, man, Steph Curry ain't no dog, but he out there being productive on the NBA court. You know what I mean? Like we got a Wilson Westbrook who's a dog, but like I think parents need to spend more energy focused on that skill set. Because at one point, some kids are like faster and stronger early on. But then once they get older, that stops. So then everybody catches up. Then who's got the IQ part of the game? Who's got the skill set? Who can run through like your plays? They come to St. Mary's and they want to play varsity, but they can't even run through the plays. They can't even run, focus on execution. So like I think you gotta have, like you said, a balance of all that, good character kids, academics, IQ part of the game, fundamental skill set, like those things are very key. What the message I'm sending out to the kids right now, 5th and 6th grade. So they come to St. Mary's or they go to Chaminade CDC, they ready as a freshman.
Right.
They ready. They've been through it all. I done told them everything I know about basketball. So then you coaches, high school coaches, be like, man, Terry, you got any other kids? Or you trusting in me that I'm getting these kids prepared for that next level. And then you're gonna make sure they prepared for it. I think it, like you said earlier, it's like it's a village. Like we helping them, you know what I mean?
Because people don't realize how small the basketball community is, because it's something just that it's just as easy as like you said that. I may get a kid that, and I ask, what middle school program you play for? And they may say 3D. Oh, well, you play for 3D? Hold on, where my phone at? I'm gonna pick up the phone and call you. You know what I mean? Because they don't think that we all even communicate and talk to each other. I mean, that's how it should be, because it's like we passing each other on. It's like, the college coaches should have a relationship with the high school coaches. High school coaches should have a relationship with the youth coaches,
100%.
and vice versa. So it's just kind of like, and the college coaches should have a relationship with the youth coach. So it's like we all should be able to contact and because it may be things coming down the pipe and that's one of the reasons why I want to talk to you, to see what's coming down the pipe. What are some of the things you seeing at the youth level that I need to get prepared for? You know what I'm saying? And
Right,
then
right.
vice versa, where some folks may ask me, hey, what are you seeing at the high school level that I may need to get prepared for? Or I'll reach out to the college coaches and say, what are you guys looking for? Because again, we talk about setting realistic goals. I don't want to tell a kid, hey, yeah, you ready for a Michigan State or you know, a Big Ten school. And then when I talk to them and they say, nah, we're not even looking for that type of play, or you know, we're not looking for these type of things. So now I have to start preparing myself for, okay, what am I teaching? What are they looking for? And kind of work in partnership with each other, you know?
Right. That's so true. Like as a coach, we all wear a lot of hats. So like when I'm coaching my teams, I know I got 8, 9, 10 kids, right? But every one of those kids is not going to be motivated by the same factors. Like I might be able to be hard on little Mike, and he might respond. But if I be hard on little Tim over here, he might shut down on me. So
Right.
as a coach, I gotta like build relationships with each one of those kids and figure out how can I, as their coach and their leader and their mentor, get the best productivity out of them while they on the court. So I think like that's so important as coaches and as us being so having so much influence on these kids and these youth, just to find out how can we help them get better and reach their full potential by building those strong relationships with them.
Right. So let's kind of transition and let's just talk about like the person, like, what are certain things that you're doing, uh, being, you know, you have so many hats, you wear so many hats, and let's talk about the importance of what we have to do to basically to keep our mental health in the aspect of, you know, if we have families, if we have teams, you know, we have to be there mentally and have, like you said, the stability in our lives to make sure that, you know, we're basically being like a light for these kids to look up to. So what are some of the things that you do to balance like being a family man, being a coach, you know, being an entrepreneur, as far as the mental health aspect of it? Because for myself, I try not to get down so much when we lose games. You know, I try to not be so burnt out with work that when I get home, I can't give my attention to my family or my wife or just actually being there in that moment. So can you talk about that as far as some of the things that the advice you can give to folks that may be listening or watching?
Right. I think you just hit it on the head. So it's saying like just having that balance. When I come home, like my girls don't want to play basketball. They don't want nothing to do with basketball. So I come home, they not thinking of me as daddy, the CEO of 3D. They looking at me as just they daddy. Like I come home, like I can't be having my phone out and they want to give me a hug and they want to play Monopoly or something. Like I put my phone down, I spend that quality time. Just like it was like the other day, it was eye opening for me, and I'm flawed like anybody else. But I came home, I was like, Daddy, you always go to trade games. You haven't came to my tennis lessons this week. So I told my wife, I was like, you know what? I'm not missing that tennis lesson. I need you to go take Trey to his basketball practice, and I'm gonna go get the girls. Took them to tennis. They had the biggest smile on their face, like just seeing their daddy supporting them of what they do. It might not be basketball, but it's something they love. You know what I mean? So, and I'm learning as a father as well, and as a husband, I'm trying to be the best husband, father, friend, and mentor to everybody. You know what I mean? But so like just going through that, having that family structure, and then just like I think a couple of the things that help 3D like launch and get big is because we focus on academics. We reward every kid that gets straight A's. They get a hoodie that says 3D straight A ball. And so it's like so many success stories from parents saying, my kid was getting all A's and B's, but just because of that hoodie, now they fighting hard in school just to get straight A's. And like this is a small little reward for them for working hard in school. So then we do a lot in the community with Loaves and Fishes, homeless shelter in Maryland Heights, with Children's Hospital, donated over 200 toys. It's like I'm trying to teach kids how fortunate they are, how important it is to give back. And then just other things, just being like having high character as a kid. Just the other day, a parent came and said, Terry, I need to talk to you. And she let me know, it's like, it was a kid that was running sprints. And he was a little bit slower than the other kids. Another kid didn't even know who he was walking out, gave him a fist pound, say, come on, man, you can do this. You can do this. Right. And like, you don't get that often, man. So like I went, she told me that I had like goosebumps. I couldn't believe it. So I went to go talk to that kid, and I'm just telling him like, hey, we need more people like you. He's 11 years old. I said, we need more people like you. You in 6th grade and you doing an act of kindness like that. I took him to bought him, I got him a new 3D t-shirt. He had the biggest smile to both parents. was all just happy about it. But like celebrating those wins is what I want to talk about. Celebrating the little wins that could turn into something big. You know what I mean?
It's like you never know when that inspiration may hit different in the kid. Like, you know, it may be that right there, that conversation, or that, you know, you having with them applauding some of the things that they showing acts of gratitude. Like, man, look, and how they may not even reach for or even try to get a reward the next time, but they just know that this was the right thing because somebody took the time to acknowledge that, you know. And that's something that I try to do with my son too, is just kind of like, you know, I think his whole, I think where he's at right now is that he has those things because we try our best to put so many things around him. Whereas as far as like what you just saying, like doing things to just know, like you bless, you know, not only, you know, not only do you know you have to live up to so much, but I want you to actually be that person, but then spread some of that love too, because you know, you never know how far certain things could go. You know, saying thank you, saying, you know, I appreciate this can go a long way. And
open the door for somebody at Walmart and Target, man. That's like big things. Like I always teach my son to be a leader. Like for instance, we had some kids in the car from his team, and we you know, of course, we believe in God. We Christians, and we listen to Joy and FM. And one of the kids like, you know this song? It was you know, godly song, right? He's like, yeah, this is my song right here. But he could have easily said like, I don't know this song. He didn't let no peer pressure. So me as a father, like, man, I'm doing something right, man. Like he ain't trying to fit in. Like he loved God and he putting that first. Like I always put that in my messages and anything. Like all this is God's work. You know what I mean? Like I'm just blessed to give back and have good people like you around me and Brandon and some of my closest friends to be able to give back to these kids, man. So it's pretty cool to talk about that in your singing.
Nah, that's gold, man. That's, you know, I appreciate you. You know, like I said, it's so many things that folks could be out here doing. You know, you took the time to give back, you know, to the game. You know, that's first and foremost, because again, the game has done so much for us in our lives. Like, you know, I still don't, to this day, if I didn't play basketball, it's kind of hard for me to pencil in to say, you know, this is what, you know, I'll be doing if I didn't play. But at the same time, it's like it opened the door. And even to this day, I never get boxed in and let, you know, it define me, but me knowing that, man, this can be something great if you know, if you take it serious, you make sure that you appreciate the people that come in your life, because everything is about relationships and you build on that, you know. So nah, man, I appreciate your time, man. I appreciate, you know, you answer questions, man, busy schedule, holidays, man.
Yeah, man. Hey, you came through for me. I'll never forget when I first started 3D. I had a little camp, and I was just looking for some good people, my good friends, to come talk to the kids and give them that. You know, how can these kids? I'm thinking like what they need to know how to make it in high school, and like you came, no questions asked, came talk to those kids, gave them a good message, and you know, I know it's good because when you left, they started talking and asking more questions. So now their wheels are turning. You're like, okay, this is what I need to do to make it and play high school ball. So, you know, I'm gonna come through for sure. Like you said, networking, building resources together. You know what I mean? Like we all, like a small circle, man, for sure.
So in closing, just put where can folks find you? Where can folks get in contact with you? Like how can they sign up? They got kids they want to get involved. Like just I want you to tell all of it so folks can get in contact with you.
Yeah, definitely. They can go to 3dvisionbasketball.com, go to our website. They can register for our teams or they can register for training there. Our email is 3dvisionbasketball@gmail.com. And they want to call us at 636-344-8171 to get more information about the academy.